The disgraced former leader of the infamous Christian community Ex-Gloriavale will be sentenced today on a raft of sex offences against girls and women over a period of more than 20 years. Howard Temple, who is 85, pleaded guilty to 12 charges, including indecent and common assault earlier this year. Senior Crime and Justice reporter Anna Leask is in Greymouth for the sentencing, and she joins us from outside the court this morning. Good morning to you, Anna. You've spent a lot of time covering this case. What are you expecting from today's appearance?
Look, we're expecting some of the victims to have their impact statements read, which is always really harrowing, and important to hear the impact that this sex offender's behaviour and actions have had on them. I believe 4 victims will have their statements read, and you've got to remember that some of these girls were 9 up to age 20, and this happened over a period of more than 20 years, so there's going to be some really big feelings in court. In terms of the sentence, he's facing up to 10 years in prison, but it's been sort of said that the victims and their supporters are expecting a period of home detention. So we'll have to see what the judge makes of everything after he's heard all the submissions from both sides this morning.
And if it was home detention, would that be back to still a leader in that community?
Yeah, look, he's been on bail at an address within the Ex-Gloriavale property, but away from those main buildings where obviously the community spend most of their, or all of their time. So I expect that he may return there. But as I said, there'll be reports presented to the judge about the appropriate home detention addresses and conditions that he should be subject to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But he has been on bail at a property within that Gloriavale land.
And throughout the trial, has he had support in court from his community?
Look, the community aren't commenting on whether they support him or not, what's happening in there or not, how they feel about it. We've requested an interview with the current leader who took over after Temple resigned. He resigned after he pleaded guilty by a couple of weeks later. So the community has been very quiet on that, and that may be because it's before the courts. But yeah, time will tell whether he has the support. I imagine, given that he's living in a property on the community, that potentially he does have support in some way. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens after today when the sentence is handed down.
And can you just remind us of some of the details of the case? How young were these girls? How serious were these offences? And over what period of time?
Yeah, look, the offending happened between 1998 and 2022, and these victims were between the ages of 9 and 20. This is 9 victims over this time. It was, I guess, and without minimising the offending in any way, it wasn't violent attacks, it wasn't, highly serious sexual assaults, but it was that sort of insipid, touching, indecent assaults, making these girls and women feel incredibly uncomfortable with what they feel was inappropriate and indecent touching. The trial heard from Temple that he accepted the incidents happened in many cases, but he didn't feel they were indecent and there was no indecent intention. However, he has pleaded guilty to those 12 charges. So, at the end of the day, he is a repeat and prolonged sex offender.
Yeah, and such a power imbalance, particularly in that community. Thank you for your time this morning. We'll look forward to seeing the outcome from the court case in your reporting later today. That is Anna Leask.